Across the Park podcast is proud to be sponsored by Globe Gas and Heating. For the best kitchen and bathroom renovations, boiler servicing and repair, and central and underfloor heating in the Northwest, head over to globecentralheating.com and quote Across the Park for a free quote. Well, welcome to Across the Park podcast, the latest episode in our pre-season schedule. My name is Ian Mills and I'm joined by Katie Carter. Anyone doesn't know Katie, a big part of the All Together Now campaign. I'm going to be asking the questions. Why do people protest? What are the goals? What are next? We're going to get into it all. Katie, thanks for coming on. How are you?
I'm all right, mate. Yeah, apart from being on a 5-day bender in Glastonbury, feeling rough, you got me in the next day, so thanks for that.
I know, I'm so sorry.
Sounding very hoarse, so I apologise.
Blame Chris. I know we've been mates for a while. I had no preference on who was.
It's okay, don't worry.
Look, let's start with the origins of the All Together Now campaign, because there's been protests before, there's been campaigns before. I look at this one now, it's different. It's different. There's so many people who've joined on. We'll get into why and the possible reasons as to why. But when you started this compared to where it is now, when you look at that visual of Spellow Lane before the Arsenal game, it was like Elton at Glastonbury. It was just a crowd of people who wanted change, wanted better. All the fan groups, arguably all the fan groups, are on this banner. Does it shock you at how big, how many people actually want change now? Because it's never been like this.
It did shock me, to be honest, because I'm somebody who's been involved in this for over a decade now in like different various groups. So like the People's Group, back then when it was formed, the Blue Union, I went along with yourself to the likes of the Castle and stuff like that. And then I was one of them people who done Everton Board Out back in, I think it was like 8 years ago, and then was a part of the 27 campaign, and then...
You've not been happy for a while, have you, kids?
I haven't, mate, no. I can't wait for it all to just end, so I can sleep at night and not have a second day job. Yeah, so it's one of them, you know, we want better for the football club at the end of the day, and I was saying to yourself before this, I hate going to match, hate it. I don't enjoy it no more. I don't think any of us who are doing this enjoy going to match. Yeah, I love going and having a bevy with your mates, but I'm sick of going and watching them and just getting shit on a weekly basis, because that's what happens nowadays. It's not even like monthly or every 3 months. We're just constantly shit. And it, you know, it's tedious, you know, you need better, you want better. So it comes to a head where people have had enough. Like, I know people who've gone for years and have just gone, not going no more. I wish I could do that, but I can't, because I don't know no other way. I wish I did, but I don't. You know, I'm 39, I've been going for 36 years. I wish I could just go. I'm not
turn it off. Yeah.
But I can't.
Yeah.
I'm too deep in to do that, do you know what I mean? Like, it bothers you. Anyone who says it doesn't bother you, you're a liar. Because if you're happy going to spend our day and money, which people do, especially nowadays as well, which it's hard, and you're getting nothing in return except getting the piss took out of you. That's what I feel like that club does to us now. I feel like they take the piss out of every fan, especially since around January time.
We'll get into
this
that.
Year. I do just think it's become dead insulting, and I think, you know, it's time for change, and full change, proper change, not bit part. Even though that's good in a way, we still need that little bit more. So.
I think that's lost on people, you know. I think some people who may not agree with the protest, and I've seen words of things put around. I know the S gets a lot of stuff, which I think is unfair. I think what's lost on people is people just are doing a good thing here. They want better. That's all they want. No one's hurting no one. No one's doing... No, the ground isn't being pushed down or pulled down. No one's being hurt here. It's just people expressing the view, wanting better, and asking people, if you want better, join us.
Join us, yeah.
Now, I think, my personal opinion, I might agree or disagree here, is the Southampton game in January was a moment in time which I think everyone at that club would look back, and if they had the Men in Black glasses or a time machine, they'd happily do it. So, for anyone who can't remember the Southampton game, my story of that is I turn up for a pint, I'm here in the winter, Thanks as always to the window for having us here, by the way. I'm here in the window, I'm having a pint, and I check Twitter, and it says Denise Barrett-Baxendale has been headlocked by an Evertonian. And you look and you go, good God. So that day there's already planned protests after the game. There's a sit-in planned. That comes out. It's on every socials, it's on the media. And then Everton put a statement out which reiterates what's happened. They say the board will not be in attendance for safety reasons. And the end of the statement for me was just key in this. It's a profoundly sad day for Everton Football Club and Evertonians. Going into that ground, there was division. No one knew the truth.
There was a coach welcome that day as well.
There was. There was a
coach welcome, and it got announced at 1:30.
Yeah.
Outside, when people were standing outside. In fact, somebody said about it, and I actually looked at the article. It got announced at 25-2 that she'd been put in a headlock, but it had been announced earlier on that the board weren't going.
Yeah, that's right. I was in here. I remember I was in here.
But there was thousands outside doing a coach welcome, and they decided to announce that, and I was just like...
But the first part of that is they divided people. So the people who weren't for the protest automatically believed it. And then the people who were sort of sceptical already, like me, I was thinking, that can't have happened. Even the most drunkest and stupidest Evertonians at whatever night, it wouldn't have happened. Ian Wright says something on Match of the Day. He then apologises.
Yeah.
And then what happens in the following days and weeks is there's no proof. And I think, whether you agree or not, I think that's the moment that a lot of Evertonians changed their minds.
I agree. I think...
They threw the fans under the bus.
Completely threw the fan base under the bus. And it was that... I stood outside, and when it was someone in the media was standing outside, and they actually went, oh my God, have you seen that statement? I couldn't get no reception on my phone. I was like, what statement? And they said, Denise Barrett-Baxendale got put in a headlock. And I was like, what?
Sounds funny even now, doesn't it?
When? Where? Like, 11 days ago in the director's box. And I was like, in the actual match, she got put on. It was just like mind blowing. I was like, you know what, if you're going to put a story out, at least put something believable out for a start. That you could go, yeah, that could possibly happen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can't do anything in the world anymore without someone having a phone in their hand. You can't get away with anything. Someone will video you. So I'm like, the cameras inside the ground, by the way.
I'm sure there's plenty.
That from the upper Gladys Street, the back row, to the back row in the park end, a camera can zoom into your zip on your jacket. That's how good the surveillance is inside the stadium. You're telling me that not one of them cameras picked up on this headlock? Not one. And nobody said in that director's box, oh my God, like there's people who go in there, hospitality. I was in there myself a few times last season for like our mate's work had got us into. Not one person seen this incident happen. But I was just like, you've absolutely royally threw our fans under the bus simply because they're now standing up against you and your failings and what you do and what you don't do and your wrongdoings, and they're opening a whole can of worms of everything you've done wrong, but now you decide, well, I'm going to go back at you. At the end of the day, this football club wouldn't be nothing if it weren't for the fans themselves.
Absolutely, yeah.
And they were the ones, the most loyalist in our shittest times, in our greatest times, have been there religiously. Now, they haven't, because they decided not to come. And people forget that. I think, yeah, we asked them to stay away, and rightly so, because they didn't deserve to be there. They didn't deserve to be there fighting like we are as a fan base and helping us and the team get over the line. They didn't deserve a seat in that ground. That seat should have been given to somebody who couldn't get a ticket. Them seats that were empty, they don't deserve to be there at all. But people forget, they chose not to come. So also, you had your manager who's on the touchline. Well, who does he look up to? Because they're his boss in a game, by the way. That was a relegation battle with Southampton. That game was huge for our club.
It was.
And they decided on the day of the game to go, well, we're not coming for safety reasons. One, which was a total lie. There's no proof. They didn't go to the police. Nothing. He didn't do anything that you would... No, if somebody would have got me in the headlock in my workplace,
You report it, yeah?
People would be ringing the police,
Yeah,
100%
absolutely,
they would be. And that's like common knowledge, you know what I mean? It's common sense. But that didn't happen. So we were made to look like a mob, like a gang of yobs. That's what we were made to
And I've
look
got
like.
last line I'm talking about, they said it's a profoundly sad day for Everton and Evertonians. I think they were trying to get those Evertonians and say, look what these guys are doing,
Yeah.
stay with us. And instead they've done the complete opposite.
But also following on from that, how I think it was NSN now who set that
NS Now,
sitting
yeah.
up. And then obviously the thing happened with Gordon's card and stuff like that afterwards. That was just a group of listeners, don't condone it. But he wasn't
I'll just
harmed.
stop that though, you don't.
You know,
People
you
will do
don't,
that, yeah.
You know, you want, plus we got beat.
Yeah.
So people are wound up.
It's on the same day that had a hat. It's all on the same day, by the way.
Just like went into one and nobody was hurt. And, you know, it was 50 kids who ran around from 50. You know, I discussed it with somebody within the club and they were like, well, you know, the safety elements and stuff. And I was like, you know, there's 50 bad people. And I'm like, but there's 4 or 5 bad people sitting on that board. And they've done more damage to this football club than them 50 kids running around chasing a car. Like, you know, get real, look at the big picture, like read the room, what's going on. And even people within the club didn't do that. They fell for everything, which then again made us look even worse as a fan base. But what followed on from there in protest-wise has been immaculate. And I don't think some of them within the club like that.
I thought it slowed down, you know, it didn't. I thought, every home game people aren't going to do it. It's not stopped, has it?
No, you did. And fair play, you know, you're asking a lot of people to change the routine on a match day.
You've got kids and stuff.
Yeah. You know, do you want to go for a pint with the mates or with the dads and the mums and whatever? We changed ours. We like going for a little bevy. We coming here for a drink.
Yeah.
But,
I've seen you shaking before the Bournemouth game, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah. Crying in here to you.
It's only 11:30.
Oh, bad. I don't ever want to go through that again. But, you know, you just do it because if you're in numbers, it's better. You know, there was loads of people on the streets and I know a few comments have been made by people, you know, standing in chippy queues, getting it. And partly, I get it. I do understand. Then we also understand the other side, that people in a routine. How do you get people out of that routine? That's what we struggled with.
Yeah.
How do you get people out the pubs? You know, there's like-minded people everywhere, but how do you stop them getting out, you know, going for that extra 1 pint? And that's something that we've got to figure out. And, you know, and we took things on board off people and we've tried to change a few things. You can't change everything because it doesn't work, you know. There's certain elements of the way you do it that, you know, it's not going to work for everybody. And we know that and we get that and that's understandable. Yeah. There's not an everyone's going to always agree on, and we know that. So, but how we've gone about things, I think, you know, we've done it well. You know, I think somebody said the other day it was vicious in the paper, vicious protests. We had kids leading it, for God's sake. How is it vicious? The atmosphere in them was brilliant. The atmosphere, you know, singing along and stuff like that. You know, even back in the team, singing songs like that. Not just all anti-board, but
I want to get into that because there's a little bit of a grey area, isn't it, of support on the team and the perception of change. Before we do that, one area I do want to concentrate on. One of the big banners I seen at the protest was School of Silence, and the communication of the club towards the fans has arguably not been good. I'll say my opinion. The past few years, I haven't got what I wanted as a supporter from a football club, so I'll say that for me. Has there been any attempts from the campaign to engage with the club, and how's that been met?
Yeah, the club have actually contacted ourselves. Sorry, I've just got notes. My head is absolutely scrambled. I'm still in Glastonbury. Yeah, so they've actually, there's been certain ways that they've contacted us. Myself, Chris, Jen, Jem and Han, like through the official channels of the club, they've tried to contact us. They've promised there's meetings at the end of the season. We're still to have that meeting. They haven't been seen through yet.
When you say they, is this the higher ups or
no, not the people. It's funny because it's mad. You'd have like meetings with the 1878, and then I know like the supporters clubs have meetings, and I know then the FAB have meetings and the fans forum have meetings, and the the same people attend every meeting.
Yeah.
So they don't, if you're involved in all of them,
You get nothing out of
you don't know what meeting you're going into really, because it's the same people. Not against them people, but you know, you've got to, you should really have right this specific for them. And again, it's fan engagement, I understand that, but it's them who approached us over this, not like the other way. So basically Chris had said to them, you know, the people within the club, we want transparency. That's what we want. We want to, if you're going to communicate with us and you're going to give us information, then we just don't want that information and keep it into us, because who are we? Who the hell are we? Do you know what I mean? We're no one. I'm just like you. Just like we all are.
Give it to everyone.
I'm nobody special. I'm no one. I don't want to know something that the rest of the world don't know. So we think it may have gone quiet since we've asked for that. We're not too sure. Understandable, it's holiday season and stuff like that as well, but the club is still working day to day because they have to. It doesn't stop. It keeps going 365 days a year. So we're still waiting for that phone call to have that meeting. I think it's to see like our future plans as well and whatever, but we've made it very clear, you know, we're not stopping. We won't stop until full changes have been made. 75% of them have been made. That's it. That's not good enough. You need full changes. You know, I think people say, oh, Mashiri's been let off lightly. He hasn't. He has and he hasn't, in a way. You know, it's one of them. He has to go. But we know he'll go eventually. I think it's pretty evident. I think we all know, you know, once that stadium's completely built, he won't be, he'll sell the club. That's not a if and when.
It's who he leaves behind running it, isn't it? Yeah.
It's the people who won't go that are a problem as such. He is, you know, I'm not saying Mashiri's not a problem. They're both egotistical maniacs, the two of them. So they bounce off each other. Do you know what I mean? You couldn't get a worse combo than Farhad Mashiri and Bill Kenwright. If it wasn't for Mashiri, Kenwright wouldn't be there. If it wasn't for Kenwright, Mashiri wouldn't be there. So you're in a catch-22 situation. Also, Kenwright is very weak as a board member as such, as a chairman. Mashiri's very weak as an owner. So, you know, you've got them people involved still in the club. Mashiri's now on the board, which is a worry because what's he put himself on the board for? You know, this interim period, what they're speaking about, even that, the club seems to say a lot, but they don't say nothing at the same time. It's like, yeah, they communicate in some ways, but they don't really say anything that, you know, it's like he's an interim chairman for now. Well, how long's that period? Colin Chong done a fantastic job with the stadium, you know, very good in what he does in that aspect, and that's his. But to be a CEO of a Premier League club, whether it's interim or not, you know, does he really deserve that? Has he got, you know, the qualifications to sit there as an interim for the interim period? I don't think he has. I think if you go and have a look at his CV, he's got nothing on it that would suggest he could step into that role. So that's a bit of a strange one. You know, you've got the chairman staying on for the interim period. How long? Also, what role does now Farhad Mashiri have on the board? Each board member has a role, but all they've told us is he's on the board, and it'll be alongside the new financial director. It doesn't say he's working with them. It doesn't give you any like clarity.
No.
There's no clarity on anything. So, you know, even if they give a rough time scale, not a 48-hour one, which they're not going to hit anyway. They even messed their own deadline up, you know. It sums them up to, it just tells you, doesn't it, what you're dealing with as a football club.
It's all communication though, isn't it? And it's all miss and match. And again, we're talking about, I do want to get into the instrumental sort of ends on there and in a bit, but whilst we're on Bill Kenwright, on this podcast, me and Judgy, we have to be mindful sometimes in our content that not everybody who watches our show agrees with myself, Judgy, the campaign. But when those accounts came out, and the chairman used that as a space to say how poor me. I can't go to the game. And he signed it off as chairman Bill. I went on the podcast, I said to Judgy before we went on, I said, I'm going to slate them here. I said, I can't sit back and allow that. We've had that, and then we've had the response to the open letter from Bill Kenwright. It's communication, but what did you make of the communication?
It's one of them, isn't it, that I think it's common knowledge. I think it was a Friday afternoon, Friday night. Clearly pissed when he's wrote it. We know that, well, allegedly, he'd told this is going out, or, you know, you're going to be in big trouble if it doesn't, to certain people within the club. So, you know, it's sheer dictatorship. That's what it is. It's like, I'm the chairman and I'm signing that off as chairman Bill. It's something that you look at like Trump does. The likes of them. You have a look at all the dictators and they sign it off as like, he used to put President Trump, not Donald Trump. It's like, that is me and I'm telling you who I am. And then he's putting like question marks, exclamation marks, and you're just like, it's like a 14-year-old kid on WhatsApp having an argument with this fella. That's what it looked like. Like, you're meant to run like one of the most successful clubs in Britain, in England, and that's your response as a letter. And he, to be honest, he'd done the work for us. They have, since January, that they've been like putty in people's hands, because every time they speak, you're like, don't speak.
No, I'd rather have silence.
Don't say nothing. Just for your own sake, stop it. And I think even that response, there was no accountability on his part, no responsibility. Not like, I've absolutely royally fucked it at this football club and I will take, you know, that's on my head too. No, none of that. He threw the niece under the bus in the second paragraph or something. That straight away, imagine reading that if you're here. You know what I mean? You're going to be like,
nice one.
Are you messing? That's exactly what you're going to be like, aren't you? So straight away, that's going to cause ructions within the boardroom anyway, because he just threw them under the bus. But there's no accountability for none of them. And this is, all we're doing is highlighting their failures. So we're not telling anybody something that they don't know, really. It's all in the public domain. You can go and find it. You can see how much they've messed up. You don't have to look at the accounts. You don't have to look at the Premier League looking into us. We've got a court case coming up in October or something. That's down to their doing, not mine and yours as a fan. That's because they've run this football club into the absolute ground, to the point where they're putting us in a very dangerous position. So whether that's financially, which they have done anyway, because we're financially a mess, you know, imagine we go and get a point deduction. That's not our fault. That's their fault for doing a very poor job. But
you said in the accounts, didn't they, that if we go down, we might have a year or so of existence, or we can function for a year or so.
Like, we could potentially be in administration.
Yeah, well, that's hidden.
But they don't ever do a statement and come out and go, that's on us, that.
No.
They kind of brush it under the carpet, and instead they blow smoke up each other's ass, which is even worse. Like,
ball that's revered.
Honest, it's just absolutely mind-blowing, but that response was just, I think more people got on side as well after that, because I feel like it's taking a piss a little bit out of the fan base. It's insulting. The way they're going about things is insulting at the minute. Even that statement the other day, keeping them on, and you know, in an ideal world, what we would absolutely love, and I'm not saying this as we as a fan base, because as you said, there's people who don't agree with it. That's absolutely fine. If you've got your opinion and you're happy with things, or you might not be happy but you don't want to join in, that's no problem. Do you know what? Don't. No one's going to force anybody or try to anymore, because you try and say stuff and you get too much backlash. You can never win no matter what you do. And it's like that on either side of the fence. But it's one of them situations. If you want a better football club, do you know what? Tell them that you want one. Show them that you want one, because let's be honest, we deserve one. As a fan base, we deserve one. You know, you can be a bit biased and say there's no other fan base who deserves it more. I'm a part of that fan base. I see what they do to the club. Yeah. What some people don't see. We all see that. You know, people out. We met people on holiday the other week and they were like, I can't believe that this got said. You're bored around the bend. And that's because it's been highlighted now publicly. So because it's on your skies and it's in the media, people are looking into Everton. It's like when Newcastle were a shit show.
It's a story, innit?
You'd
Yeah,
look
you
more
yeah,
into Newcastle, wouldn't you?
absolutely.
And you'd be like, oh my God, how they put up with that Mike Ashley? But they outed him. They got shut of him. And he's got, now look at them. They've done, and they come in and completely wiped it clean. So that's what, until we get investment and they're on board fully, you know, things aren't going to change. In an ideal world, you want Bill Kenwright gone. He has to go. He's been over the club now for far too long, failed far too long. And then you've got Mashiri blowing smoke up his ass as well the other day.
Well, his communication's been poor as well,
It's
hasn't it?
dire,
Because
it's
he
just
came out
dire.
in January. Now, the Fab, we've had the Fab on the channel. I speak to Jazzy on my phone. My personal belief is Jazz was the wrong person to speak to Fab Mashiri. I think it should have been Alan Myers. I think it should have been in the studio, or it should have been in Everton's, you know, some sort of interactive with the fans.
Yeah.
I think Jazz done a good job. The communication from Farhad there was poor. He's then on TalkSport, and he's then releasing more stuff.
It's like he
His
wasn't
communication's
challenged enough.
it's all wish-wash again.
It's all, what was it?
We'll buy a striker. We'll buy one.
Well, that was a lie, wasn't it? And it took Sean's Ice to come in.
Put Michael Keane up front. The two games in the second half, the last game of the season.
And so
put Michael Keane up front.
So do you believe anything he says? Because I don't believe a word he tells anybody. He again, in the nicest way possible, he's a lunatic who can't run a football club. And this is where it's a bit mind-blowing, like how he runs the football club to the stadium side of things. I spoke to Chris today before I've come here, and I know that Chris went with one of his mates not so long ago to Lava Buildings. And basically, Chris said he walked in and he was just like, wow, it blew his head off. It's that good. He said it's mad. He said, I know it sounds stupid, but it even smells nice. He said they have diffusers in there that, you know, when you go into like a nice hotel.
Feels big time, like, yeah.
It's like high quality.
Yeah.
He said that's what it was like. He said it was mind blowing the way they've got things. The lads who took them round, the actual sculpture thing, what Dan Mees has made of the ground.
Yeah.
They showed them that. They take them round it. It's not that big. It's like half a metre big each way, but they tell them each individual thing, and then on a screen you put the screen on.
Yeah,
and
the interactive,
it shows you exactly what goes on, what part of the ground is what. And basically Chris actually said, he was like to the lads, I can't believe how you can get to they haven't cut no costs, they haven't cut no corners. Everything is high spec to the best it can be. Like the best. So what they've done is they've gone to the best people who make the grounds. Sorry, so people who've made Tottenham Stadium, which is out of this world. People who've made brilliant stadiums in America, they're the people who they're using. So they've gone and outsourced to them and gone, right, this is what we want. Can you go and make me the best of that? So the lad actually said to him, it's a bit mad because every Evertonian said it's different if you just got someone corporate with a business. They're not bothered about Everton. But Evertonians have actually gone. He's gone. Every Evertonian said this when they've come in. How's he got the ground so right? And he's heavily involved in the ground also, which is crazy, but he's gone and got the best people for the jobs. So they've got a team. Yeah. So you've got a certain team who do this within the ground, certain team who do that. He's gone and got the best to do them jobs. But the board, he hasn't. And Chris actually said what did he say? He said that in that 1 hour he was there, it gave him a glimmer of hope towards the future as an Evertonian, and one that's something he hasn't been able to say beforehand for a very long time. That's how good the ground is. But then on the flip side, the club itself is run like a shit show. So he doesn't have the best people at like CEO level. I think I seen somebody say, I can't remember who it was the other day on Twitter, and it was like, you know, you just need football people at the club. You need business people too.
Commercial-minded people, yeah.
You need everybody because it's a business now. It's not just a football club no more. Times have moved on. You need someone who's commercially good. You need someone who can put us out there, who can go and get the best deals, best commercial deals, kit deals, anything. You need somebody within who knows business. There's not one person on that board, well, apart from Farhad Mashidi now, who clearly knows what he's doing as a business because he's a billionaire, but he doesn't know how to run a football club. So he needs people who do. And that's where he's failed massively from day one. And he's weak. He's a very weak man when you think about, and I've said this on a few podcasts now.
Excuse me.
He's very weak. You put pressure on him, he will crack. He has done. He's done it over Martinez. He's done it over Benitez. He's now done it over 75% of this board. He's got shut of them because the fans, he listens, but then how he acts is different. So he's listened to an extent, but what fans really wanted was all of them gone.
Yeah.
He hasn't listened to that bit. There's a main person on that board who needs to be removed massively. He's the most unsuccessful chairman in our history. He's overseen the most unsuccessful period in our time of not winning a trophy. He's failed religiously, year after year, with everything he does. The fact that Farhad Mashidi has asked him to stay on tells you all you need to know about Farhad Mashidi, because Ken Wright is weak in a way where he'll do anything for him. But he's there for a reason, isn't he? He's got him on there for, I think it was rumoured, £50 million less. You know, you buy the club for £50 million less and I can stay on. He's done that job, so he'll now do anything for him. You know, but he won't do it with no gain. There'll be a gain for him. Yeah. I think it was rumoured the other week he wants more money for the shares. Is he going to go and get more money because he's gone, okay, well, I'll stay on for this period of time, but you need to give me more money. They won't do anything like for nothing. They'll both do something for their own gain, because let's be honest, that's all they care about. They care about themselves. They don't care about Everton. They don't care about me and you. They're not interested in that. They just care about themselves. So anything that they're going to gain, plus Ken Wright has Mashidi's safety blanket. When he needs smoke blowing up his arse, Ken Wright will do that, and vice versa, because that's what they do. And that's very, very clear between the two of them, and it's been clear since day one. You don't speak about my friend and I won't speak.
Got each other's backs kind of thing.
Of course they have, because let's be honest, this speaks a lot, doesn't it? So
100%.
And that's what they're in it for. But they both, for our club to move forward, they both need to go, and it's as simple as that. They do. So
we'll end on that in a minute. Before we do end on the show, and thanks for your time. I know your Glastonbury coughs in full flow and stuff, so we do appreciate you coming on the show. Just for you and your friends and your partner and things, I know there's a perception of you can't support the team and you can't do the coach greetings and you can't see Frank Lampard whilst you're protesting. I've seen you on Twitter get some of that. I've heard it. I know people who, there's a grey area in between the protesting and the stuff that you and the other guys amazingly have done with the coach greetings and things. Is it tough for you when that grey area is there? You can't do one or the other. How do you react when you hear that?
Yeah, I think at first it was a little bit, but you can. It's been proved you can. So that myth's well ripped up. So if people say you can't do both, they clearly didn't go to the game for the past 3-4 months. You can do both. It's dead clear you can do both. I obviously am within the 1878, the whole Lampard situation. It still makes me laugh, that, to be honest.
What was the story there? So for anyone who doesn't know, everyone's protesting, everyone's unhappy, and then you're getting a selfie with Frank Lampard on the pitch. That's the perception of what happens.
Do you know what?
Really
at
happens?
That time, no one was... Yeah, they were protesting, but I think I'd left at 27 by then. There was too much going on within, and how some people who were in it were acting towards people who didn't agree.
Yeah.
I didn't agree with that, because I used to be one of them. I'm sitting here and it sounds like I'm being hypocritical here, but I'm not. I used to be one of them and be like, I'm not bad. No, you can't be that way, because at the end of the day, that's their opinion. Do you know what I mean? You know, you can say they're okay saying it to you, but the minute you're seen to be saying it to them, oh no, that just doesn't happen. Like, you're not allowed to do that. And it's always been that way, I suppose, when you're sitting there and you're being the face of something. How dare you have an opinion? But, you know, that's life, innit? It happens, and it is what it is. And at the end of the day, when we've got a better football club, and we're all sitting here happy, it won't be down to me. It won't be down to Chris, Jem, Han. You know, it won't be down to the thousands of people who've joined us and the likes of yourselves. It'll just because we've got a better football club now, because everybody pushed for it, and that's what we wanted. And let's hope that one day we are sitting there like that, because I tell you what, it's absolutely draining. It's draining. It's like a second job. It's horrible. But I'm putting myself in that position, you know, but I kind of can't get out of it. So I'm in too deep now with that. But I wish I could. I wish it just all ends, and tell you what, it does make that phone getting deleted, everything will be done, and I'll just enjoy going to match again, because that's all, what we all want. And we don't want to be. I wish didn't have to do this, but unfortunately we do. But in terms of the whole Lampard situation, just a group of us got together, basically like mates, and just went, these players need help. Like, what do we do? The atmosphere was a bit shit at Goodison. They're flat.
Before the Leeds game, wasn't it? I remember.
Yeah. Before the cup game. Before the Brentford game. No, the Leeds game.
So Brentford was in the cup, and I think we got beat by Newcastle Leeds and someone else. And then I remember this.
Yeah, Leeds was the first one, wasn't it?
And the statement was like, we've got to make it better against Leeds. We've got to get behind them.
Make it better. And we just got together as a group, the gang of us, and just contacted the club and said, right, this is what we're looking at doing. We need to make it better. What can we do? Any chance you can have flags out, blah, blah, blah. And they engaged, brilliant. And then it just went on from there. I think we had about 7 meetings with them. About 5 or 7 meetings before the Lampard situation had happened. So we were saying designing banners, and they were making them. Fair play, the club were paying for them. Because they're expensive. I think some of the big ones, like $4,000, whoever they get them off, and they're too big, you can't keep them in your house, do you know what I mean? So, and you don't want to be going to fans all the time. At that time, you know, give some money to get banners, because some people might want to do it. Some people must be like,
or can't, want to and can't,
or can't do it, which is totally understandable. So they were helping us, and then we were saying, like, we want these type of banners. And I think they brought a couple of waivers out, the Newcastle at home, and they just looked like Man City flags, and we were like, okay, so we can't have them anymore. They've never been seen since, by now. And fair play, they tried, you know what I mean? But we were like, right, these are the type of things what we're looking for. Got to be royal blue, white, amber, you know, anything that resembles us, not sky blue with white. And they were like, right, okay, our next meeting, can we have it at Goodison? And we were like, yeah, that's fine, 5 o'clock Friday. We've got a few flags we need to show, yes. And people were like, yeah, fine. And it was the big marching down Goodison Road. Marching down Goodison Road, we are the famous EFC. Everton, the gear.
Remember, yeah.
So we were like, well done, if you've listened and stuff like that. They were laughing. And then Lampard come out. No one knew he was coming. And it was, he arranged it, not the club. He said, I want to speak to the people who've arranged like the coach greetings and stuff like that. Now, I couldn't give a shit if I met Lampard or never. I couldn't give a shit if I ever met an Everton player again in my life. I'm not asked. I'm not in it for that. Yeah. I just wanted a better atmosphere. I wanted us to stay up. And anything we could do to do that, do it. Do you know what I mean? If that means you going that far saying, come on, let's do that coach greeting that you've always gone, never do one of them.
Cop-out behaviour.
Yeah, but it worked. And, you know, at the end of the day, sometimes you have to be the bigger person, and you have to openly admit, but it does generate an atmosphere, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Let's see how it goes. We shit ourselves the first time we done it against Chelsea. We were like, no one's going to turn up to this. There was thousands, and then they just kept getting bigger and bigger. But that whole Lampard situation, the club have asked us as well since they asked us last season. They probably hate me for saying this, but it is what it is. Would we do a video for the players? Because we were thinking of other ways just to get, you know, how can we get into the players' heads without going to Finch Farm, putting pressure on them and being like, come on, screaming at them like, come on. And the club were like, well, how about do a video? Only a couple of minutes long. We spoke about it as a group, but it was like, but it's not going to be made public. It's just the players who are going to see it. And we were like, hang on, we got absolute hell for this Lampard thing that we didn't know about. I'm not doing that, because who am I to do a video to the players? Why can't someone else go and do a video? There's plenty of people out there who'd love to go and like get the kids on and be like, come on, Everton and all that. I'm like, who are we as a group of like 16 people to do a video? We're not putting ourselves in that situation. So no, if we can't go public with it and say, send your videos in, they're going to make one, then we're not doing it, because we don't speak on behalf of the fan base. And who are we to value the players when you've got other match-going Evertonians who go everywhere, don't miss a game, take the kids, and they're not getting that opportunity. So we would, as a group, we would just say, no, we don't think that's fair to do that.
I'm sure anyone ever told you that before, but that's boss. Honestly.
Yeah, because it's not about us. At the end of the day, there's better Evertonians. No one's a better Evertonian. I don't mean it in that sense, but there is better Evertonians out there than me and you. There's people who, who go all the pre-season games and don't bloody miss. Do you know what I mean? Just because you go nearly every game doesn't make it any better than anybody else. And that's why I was like, I don't care if it's someone who's been to once at Goodison who wants to do a video, let them. I'm not doing it over them. So we decided against it. Thankfully, they didn't need it anyway, with a bit of luck. But
nearly did.
Nearly did, yeah. But going forward in the future, as the group of the 1878 we're looking to go independent. I think we've applied to be like a supporters group as such.
What does that mean? What's the difference in?
So basically, you kind of do things yourself, so you don't rely on the club to do it. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of like safety elements and stuff like that. There's a lot that's got to be passed by the club. You've got to ask them, can we do this? Can we do that? I think if you have a look at the likes of Celtic and stuff like that, Rangers, they do typos.
Right, okay.
So I think what we're looking to do is, do like just giving pages and just be like, right, okay, let's make a better atmosphere. Goodison's only got a couple of years left. Excuse me. And then let's get it as good as we can. Get as many banners made as we can. The club will hopefully store them for us because they are too big. We've got somebody who can make them for us as well. And it just takes that off the club as well, that pressure off them, us hounding them. And instead us just basically going, this is what we're going to do. But obviously within the safety regulations, how you can do it. And then nothing has to be passed. It's just easier. And, the club hopefully will still help us.
Yeah, of course. In
some capacity. But it's not leaning on them as much. It's doing it ourselves. As there'd be nothing better to go into Bramley Moor with the blue wall and imagine all banners and different sizes and stuff like that, big waivers, what you can have. But that's the plan going forward in that sense. Yeah, it materialised over the summer.
When I was on the hot walk with you, January, February, I know Chris done a speech with Han, and a lot of it was the people who aren't sort of in the campaign now, we have to have a reach and we have to just have a conversation. If at the end of that conversation they haven't changed their mind, then great, it's just been a pint. Is there any plans to maybe engage on a match day with different people and stuff?
Yeah, I think we've got like a few things in the pipeline that we're still discussing. I'm sorry.
Elton John was good, wasn't he?
He was brilliant.
Well, anyone who's like Katie has a drink, we were in the hot walk, me and Judgy talking to the All Together Now campaign, and one of the points that came up from a guest there was how do you reach out to fans who maybe aren't on socials? Not everyone's got Twitter. Not everyone goes on YouTube. Not everyone watches these podcasts. Some people just turn up. And how do you reach and have a conversation with them? And there are some plans, aren't there?
Yeah, there's some plans in place. Some of them have been like a bit of a stumbling block. There's some of the things what we want to do, like advertising and stuff like that. We're still like in the process of sorting that out. See if we can jump through a few loopholes and stuff, and just to get it out there. And hopefully, we don't need to do that in the next month, 6 weeks. Hopefully things start to change. Because let's be honest, that's what we want. That's what we need. As soon as the investment comes in and the full changes are made and the interim period is over, however long that may be, if the 48-hour deadline ain't to go by, I'm not hopeful on how long it'll be. It'll probably be about another 3 years, but we'll see. It's the only way out. But once that's over, hopefully this stops. We don't need to be doing that because also it's the holiday period. People are away, it's the summer. I think what we've done outside the lava buildings.
It was important, that wasn't it? Yeah.
It wasn't the best of turnouts, but it was a message. It was people there, hanging banners on Goodison. We're here, we're not going away until you do that. you can't expect an awful lot of people right now. Excuse me, people are on holiday, people are having a break, they want a break, it's been an odd season, you totally understand that, whereas we're willing to still keep going with things, and that's, you know, that's fine with us. It's hard work at times, and you know, it might be a little bit repetitive at the minute what's going on in terms of messages on the ground, but these little messages get relayed.
The scene, yeah.
You know, it's visual. It's telling people that we're not going away, and until the right changes and the full changes are being made, then we won't stop, because you know we're in this for the long haul. But hopefully that long haul can be cut short a little bit. Now, you know, of course we invite the changes made. Brilliant. They were much needed, but it's not fully there yet. So we need to just keep pressing and pushing and making sure them changes happen, because, as I said before, Mashiri is a very weak man. You keep pushing to him. And then the message to him also is, sell a football club. You're not fit enough to run it. You've proved that for 7 years. You're a poor owner. Okay, you're bringing a ground to us. Fantastic. But the same, this summer it's going to be a struggle financially. We're going to be in a state, we're probably going to have to sell a few players. Yeah. All that is down to him and his board and his chairman, what he's put together, what they put together. It's a mess. The sooner them two have left this football club, the better for us. The better, you know, we can move forward, hopefully positively. But also when these new people come in, whoever they may be, they need time.
Of course.
You know, you've got to be realistic. I'm not stupid enough personally, and I know a lot of us aren't. You know, success isn't going to happen overnight. I'm not naive. We understand that, and we're realistic about the situation. They've got an awful lot of shit to clean, and we have to be realistic with the situation what we're in as a football club. And that situation we've been put in by this owner, chairman, and the old board. Let's hope the new board are rid of that and move forward and have good plans. And you know, that again, you're not asking them for the national insurance number when you're asking them what's your plan for the future. You don't want the bank account, even though you would like the money what's in it. But you're just saying, what's your plan? So
engage with us.
Is Farhad Mashiri going to sell this football club? If you're not, tell us. You know, what is your plan for the next 2 years before that ground is completed? And then once it's completed, what's your plan? We don't need to know the ins and outs. You just need to know the basics, because it's okay saying he's coming in on the board as an interim. He is and he is, but then what's the plan? After that, is somebody going to replace them? If so, roughly when? You know, is it going to be MSP? If so, when? It's basic things like that. You're not asking for the finer details. You're just asking for the on the surface stuff. Exactly, that gives us to go, well, okay, we know he's going to go, and we know he's roughly going to go then. And then you can decide if you trust that process then and make a decision on that, can't you? Because you've had the clarity. You can't carry on forever the way. God, this football club can't carry on the way it is. No, it'll go under. It'll go down and it'll go under if changes aren't made. So, and that's pretty evident given what's in black and white, isn't it? We've got the evidence there for us, so it's not like we're making it up. They made that evidence themselves. All this is on their head, not on the fans who it was portrayed to be on their head. But we keep going, we keep moving, and hopefully sooner rather than later we've got a better football club that we all deserve, and we can actually enjoy going to watch again. Can't wait. Katie, it's been great to have you on. I know you've been we're recording this the day after Katie's got back from Glastonbury, so you've been an absolute diamonds with your time. I'll no doubt see you here pre-Brentford, and I will buy you that pint. I couldn't buy you it tonight, but thanks for coming on Across the Park podcast. No problem. Thanks very much for having me.